And it's now time for us to do our big stories. Now, from slogan to action, President John Dramani Mahama touts his flagship 24-hour economy plus as the game changer with an end game to provide 1.7 million quality jobs and 2 million hectares of land to be cultivated within the Volta basin, becoming the breadbasket. Now, with government seeking to acquire some $4 billion of private sector funding to achieve its goal, is also the sustainability question for the audacious program. We're here to analyze this program and to see, how it can work for the benefit of Ghana. Joining us today is Dennis Miracles Aboagye. He's aide to former Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and also Hamza Suhuyini is member of the NDC's communications team. Hamza, I think you are an Esquire, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Hamza Suhuyini, Esquire. Anyway, good morning and welcome, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Okay.
And good morning to my brother and, of course, Sweetie as well, and our cherished viewers out there.
Good morning, Kojo.
Dennis.
How have you been?
I'm good, I'm good.
Let's ask Council how he's doing.
Okay.
Well, I'm doing very, very well. Thanks to you. At least I have a very good friend in opposition. I'm doing very, very well.
He says he's doing good because he has a very good friend in opposition.
You know, they still have all their money, no matter what you say.
Is there money?
And his expenditure has come down because anyone who goes to him, he says he's in opposition.
No, you can tell us. Is there money in government?
I can't tell you.
You are saying that
you have all the money. You engage in all kinds of corrupt deals. You remember? Unless, of course, you want me to start talking about the $51 million you desire to sink in the name of building a cathedral.
When you spend $51 million in building a cathedral,
in digging a hole,
it amounts to corruption.
Yes, because where is the money? You cannot spend $51 million of the taxpayers' money under the guise of building a cathedral,
don't worry.
Only to give us a hole. Where is the money?
Well, you are a lawyer. You are very much aware that since you even came to office, there's been an audit on that account. Did you hear anywhere from the audit that some money is missing?
Yes, and that is why it is part of the oral report.
Which part of the audit report?
Which audit report? The audit report you presided over?
Well, gentlemen, let's talk about
the audit report you presided over.
Let's talk about the 24-hour economy, not the Operation Recover or Lose and the fallout from there.
It's important.
I know, but we have an hour to get into very decisive
with very simple.
No,
the MPP didn't undertake the audit.
Yeah.
It was
I'm asking you a simple question.
Relax.
Let me ask you a simple question. Let me ask you a simple question. I'm going to ask you a simple question. No, I'm going to ask you a very simple question. For the 4 years that you were in power, no, for the 8 years that you were in power,
afterwards you answer mine.
They were not doing any audit of your financial transactions by the Auditor General?
They were.
But still, didn't we have consents?
Calm down.
About your activities in government? Were you watching the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament scrutinize the contents of the audit report?
That's fine, but shall we come back to the cathedral? You made a categorical point that some corruption has been undertaken.
A lot of corruption.
No, not a lot. We'll come to this.
A lot.
Some $51 million has been corruptly utilized under the National Cathedral. And I am saying that, are you aware that a renowned, reputed global audit firm has undertaken an audit on the National Cathedral? Are you aware of that?
And I'm going to respond.
Are you aware?
Please.
But when you ask me a question, I answer.
You've asked me a question. I want to respond. I said I'm going to respond. Let me respond to you.
Because I have a follow-up.
I'm going to respond with it.
To be fair, Miracles, you cannot be asking all the questions.
No, he asked
for him, everyone, no one person. But I'm going to ask you a simple question. You remember when you I'm going to answer the question. I'm going to answer the question. I'm going to answer it with a question, please.
Are you aware?
I'm going to answer you with a simple question.
It was a yes or no question.
No, why would you determine the way I should answer the question?
Yes or no?
Let's make it simple.
Yes or no?
Earlier you said that it's part of oral, right?
Yes.
And that there's been some finding. What did they find?
Oh, but that is why I'm telling you that it is not for me to communicate that now.
Okay.
The oral report, as a media man, that it has been presented to the Attorney General.
Okay.
And they are looking at the details of that report. And when that is done, the entire matter will be made public, like the Attorney General does.
But
when we were done with the National Service Authority, please.
Don't go to National Service yet.
When we're done with the National Service Authority audit, remember that it was contained in the oral report. The Attorney General decided to organize a press conference on it.
You come to make an emphatic point that you are put to street proof. You see, you are jumping.
I'm not jumping. No problem. You see, that is your problem. That is your problem. Miracles.
Our audience are tuning to listen to you. So let's not do this. Let's have a proper conversation.
Let me respond. Let me respond to you. I'm going to respond to you.
Yes, I'm done.
Yeah.
No, are you done? Are you done?
Let's start.
Are you done? So now, Kojaba, quickly, briefly. Is my brother trying to deny on this platform that even he, as a person, is not having problems with $51 million of the taxpayers' money
that's not what you said.
Under the name. Yes, why is corruption? Is it not corruption?
Your party are fond of that.
Is it not corruption?
Let's make progress.
Where is the falsehood?
Then you change.
Where is the falsehood?
Listen,
is it not a fact?
Dennis,
Is it not a fact that you spent $51 million to dig a hole for us?
Was that corruption?
Does that not make sense?
You are a lawyer.
It is.
Is that what you were talking the law?
Yes. Unfortunately, you are not. So you don't even understand.
That's what you were talking. That's what you were talking about.
Should we take a short break?
Did you know that?
Should we take a short break? So, Hamza, yesterday, you finally launched the 24-hour economy policy plus, etc. And we want to get your initial reaction to this because arguments are pouring in. Even as of this morning, some members of the opposition and NPP are saying that it doesn't look feasible. But let's reflect on the launch, everything that went into that policy document, all before we listen to Miracles. And then we can get incisive in getting the nitty-gritty out. So your reflections.
I think it is important to state that, like we indicated, many of the things we are bringing to fruition were promises we made in opposition. And one of the cardinal pillars of our 2024 campaigns undoubtedly had to do with a promise to spearhead a 24-hour economy. And it is important for us to put it in perspective, sweetie. You see, even in opposition, we're clear that this is not a policy to be driven holistically by central government. Our responsibility, President Mahama made that point, was to provide the needed environment to be able to partner effectively with the private sector to roll out the 24-hour economic policy. And in sectors that we feel government institutions are also strategically positioned to be able to implement things, we give them the necessary support to do so. And so that is the whole idea behind the 24-hour policy. But you know that for years we are dealing with a man who is a problem solver. He understands the nature of the problems confronting this country, but he's not a man who is committed to quick fixes. We saw it in the way he handled Dumso. He did not organize pastors to go to Akosombo Dam to pray. He was not engaged in giving excuses. He did what he needed to do as president during his first term by investing monumentally in the energy sector with a promise to ending Dumso forever and to laying the foundation for successive governments to be able to build on these investments that he was making. Unfortunately, when he was voted out of office and a new government came, they failed to continue on that tangent. And all what we heard was noise about excess capacity. They did not appreciate that this was a president with a foresight and who knew that annual demand of electricity was in the region of about 10%. And for Ghana to become competitive in terms of even manufacturing and our industrial sectors, there was the need for us to have excess capacity to be able to make up for the needed demands as far as our annual demands were concerned. So that is the kind of leader we are dealing with. And that is the basis or the brain behind this 24-hour economy. He appreciates that if you look at, please, I think I'm now going on to the 24-hour economy proper. Could you please?
Yeah, but as you do it, I will be coming in. So let me hear you.
Okay, so now we all agree as a country that when it comes to our productive sectors, especially agriculture and industry, it is difficult for us to connect it with even job creation. If you look at our employment elasticity of Ghana's employment elasticity when it comes to our employment opportunities in terms of our GDP growth, I think in the 1990s, the figure was within the region of about 0.7%, which meant that in maybe any job that is thrown up, about if you throw out 1 million, if GDP grows by about 100%, you were throwing up approximately 7% of jobs. Today, that figure has dwindled to about 0.2%. It means that irrespective of the growth in agriculture, irrespective of the growth in industry, irrespective of the growth in the mining sector, it does not reflect in terms of job creation. There's the need for us to solve that fundamental problem. Also, if you look at our foreign exchange problems, it is largely influenced by the fact that we are unable to strategically position our country in terms of our productive sectors to become export-led. We are largely import-led to the extent that commodities that we can produce internally, we export them. These are problems that not the only NDC is aware of. Even the New Patriotic Party and other political parties have always complained about these issues. So we feel that the time has come for us to lead a holistic program intended to lay the foundation for successive governments to continue to build upon. So that is the whole concept of the 24-hour economy.
So it means that the 24-hour economy will be built on a certain foundation, right?
Absolutely.
And that foundation has been laid.
The foundation has been laid. And that is why we have said that I think it is anchored around 3 pillars. First, that has to do with production. And our focus largely is going to be on agriculture. Especially, we are bringing on board policies intended to at least create some incentives for that sector. Those engaged in cereals, there's the need for us to take advantage of our competitive potential when it comes to that sector. And so government will be at least reducing taxes in that regard. In some cases, import duties for machinery into the country that are geared towards those sectors. There will be no import duties on such machineries. Yes, absolutely. That is the whole idea.
It won't be just saying it.
No, it wouldn't just be so, because we are the authority, when it is eventually passed by Parliament, would be mandated to drive these policies. So they will identify those industrial sectors in terms of agriculture production, and companies would have to apply for these incentives to be rolled out. Also in the logistics sector, we understand that irrespective of how well you do in terms of expanding your production, one of the bottlenecks facing this country has to do with logistics, how to transport even produce that we get either from our farmlands or our fisheries. There's the need for us to invest heavily in that logistical drive. So that is one important plank, and which is the second pillar of the 24-hour economy. So it's holistic. We are looking at a system where we can connect the various sectors together. And that is why we also have what we call the Connect 24. And I believe from where I sit, if you look at the 3 pillars, it is anchored on digitalization. These days, it is easier to effectively connect your sectors if you rely on digitalization. And so government digitization. So government will do everything within its power, once again, to invest in that sector through the authority. So it is holistic. And we have prepared the policy framework. And we are only hoping, that is why President Mahama said that this must go beyond the NDC and MPP rivalries. We appreciate. And we are taking useful lessons from the failures of the One District, One Factory program. No doubt, a novel idea that was proposed by the MPP in opposition. But unfortunately, they had challenges in terms of implementation. We have learned useful lessons from that particular experience.
So, and you know energy will play a critical role in all of this. What has been done in that area?
Again, if you read the document, it is very holistic. Government is already stepping up efforts to invest in the energy sector. It is not strange. It is not surprising that about 2-3 weeks ago, even the Minister of Education set up another committee that was mandated to drive the building of the second gas processing plant for Ghana, intended to cut costs as far as our energy demand is concerned, and also increase capacity. So there are ways we are investing in that sector as far as energy is concerned. So we know, we anticipate this. That is why we are saying that we are hoping to begin to see the full benefits or the benefits of the 24-hour economic policy in about 18 months' time. Because we are doing so being mindful of other investments we are putting up in the energy sector, and not just in the energy sector, even the transportation sector. So it is a holistic program intended to strategically position this country so that our sectors can begin to interact with each other. Okay. And I think that any well-meaning Ghanaian should begin to support this initiative, because even the National Thanksgiving, they had one of the pastors call on His Excellency the President for us to look at the idea of the National Development Planning Commission. This is also another important bedrock of that call. And so I expect our colleagues, especially from the New Patriotic Party, to be very critical of the process, because that is how we can better the entire concept of the 24-hour.
It's a good time to listen to him on the, how they can be critical with the process.
That is very, very important.
Yeah. I mean, even before this 24-hour economy plus was launched, we'd heard concerns coming from Parliament, your side in Parliament, asking for a bill, policy document, asking for clarity on exactly what they intend to do and how they intend to implement it, asking for infrastructure, logistics, everything, street lights and all that. At this point where they have in fact launched the 24-hour economy plus, how did you assess yesterday's program, a statement from the president, and the arguments pouring in since then after?
You know, when I describe this government as a clueless, everlasting, incompetent bunch of arrogant braggarts who have scammed their way to government, every day they prove me right. And it is funny how when they miss the ball, they try to, confidently try to make it look as if they are on track. You see, I read the document in detail, and I went back to go and play almost 15 videos of the NDC and their flag bearer then, the President, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, telling the Ghanaian people the number one reason why they should vote for them into government, and explaining to us what the 24-hour economy is. And I look at this and I shake my head. And I simply tell myself that it's too late. There's nothing we can do about it, except for to simply wait and see what happens. Listen, I have always insisted that I will not measure the NDC against our wishes or any other person, but against their own words. The 24-hour economy that the NDC campaigned on and told us they were coming to implement is that when we come to office, we think that Ghana sleeps too early, and that we would first of all start with the public sector, where one job will have 3 people doing it. One job. And I'm sure you recall, when they said 133. Yeah. In fact, they said that when you go to the Ministry for Local Government, for every row, for every desk that is there, 3 people would now go and fill in that role. And that excited Ghanaians. That is what they said. In fact, when it comes to private sector, some of us always said exactly what it is that they are doing today, and they said, no, we are lying. And that all they intended to do was to go to the industrial area and give them subsidized electricity. And then when they give them that subsidized electricity, they can operate 24 hours and recruit people. And we told them, no, that a 24-hour economy, first of all, cannot be run nationwide. That is fact. Because there is nowhere in the world that 24-hour economy is run nationwide. And that 24-hour economy is simply a demand and supply principle. That in areas where the thing is needed, the private sector or the public sector would have no choice than to adjust and be able to meet that demand. And that you cannot force it onto the economy. The economy must be ready and receptive to a 24-hour economy. They said, no, we are lying. And they said, we didn't know what we were talking about, and that what we were saying is not what they are saying. They went on giving examples that the watches seller at Lakeside Estate, once they come to office, will be able to sell 24 hours. That the organizer on the Techiman Road, and this was explained by their national chairman, once they come to office, will operate 24 hours. That when you go to the Ministry for Food and Agriculture, the director for PPPMB will be 3. The directors will be 3. One will come in the morning, close in the afternoon. Another one will come. Yeah, that's what they said. No, I'm saying that's what they said. They said that's clearly what they said. And we insisted that the 24-hour economy is not a policy on itself, and that it is a series of policies and programs that would bring you an outcome or an output of a likely 24-hour economy. Here we are today. This is where we are. Listen.
There's one angle. I just want to give you one angle to what you're saying.
Please do.
You mentioned that you'd read the policy document thoroughly. I'm quoting from page 15 of the executive summary of the 24-hour documents we have. And they say, while the name 24-hour economy code may evoke images of shift work or nighttime operations, the program goes beyond that. 24-hour plus is first a program of national mobilization. There's a micro and real sector counterpart to the program of sound macroeconomic management led by the Ministry of Finance. And it goes on and on to talk about selected sectors, starting from strategic value chains. So when you say that it's as if they've missed the ball, and I wrote that down, you said they had missed the ball, they explain that it's not about night shifts.
Yeah, because they are explaining now after they scammed us and came to power.
So when was this document
yesterday.
No, I got this before yesterday.
Yeah, but it was
the same thing.
Yes,
right.
So I agree. What they have written is actually what it should be.
Okay.
And that is what we kept saying.
So you're following what their rhetoric before they launched this.
That's all.
Let's move on.
No, wait. Okay. We can't move on just like that. You see, the reason why we cannot move on just like that is that people must be held responsible and accountable for things. Because if we just move on, only God knows how many times we are going to move, even with this document it brought. Okay. But don't forget, this is just a policy document. Its implementation is a different ballgame. Are we going to come back 2-3 months later and the day themselves will begin to shift posts? We can't pretend as if that is not what they told us. Listen, these guys went on to talk about chop bars, and went to talk about barbers, and went to talk about all manner of things. And we kept saying, first of all, you cannot have 24-hour economy in my village in Frano. You know why? Because Infrano is predominantly a cocoa farming area. They go to the farms in the morning, go and farm, which is economically viable, make the money, then they will have to now move it to where you are putting up the industries. So don't let the Infrano people have a sense and feel that when they vote for you, they are going to be part of a 24-hour economy. Go and play every tape of me commenting on 24-hour economy, even in multimedia here. And I kept saying, tell the people the truth. The truth of the matter is that, indeed, 24-hour economy is a viable outcome of every economy. Yeah. If you put in the basis like they are doing. However, it is not everywhere that you can run a 24-hour economy. So today, my people in Ayesuano and Frano have voted for you because you told them that you're going to give them a 24-hour economy. Here they are today. In fact, the president went on now to say that football crowd will be played in the middle of the night. Midnight. He went on, he said it with his mouth, that even football will be played at 1 a.m.
Well, I thought it was discotheque.
No, that is also another example.
Okay, all right.
Open his mouth, football. The discotheque one is different. As we sit here, we are waiting for Boomerang to reopen. Because the president said it with his mouth. I am saying that the document, as Mr. Gusitano has brought, is actually what you need. But then to enable, even that, remember, Kojo, even that, this doesn't automatically translate into 24-hour economy. No, yeah. Because you see, you can build on the industries. You can give them the incentives, they will develop and all of that. If at the end of the day, what they are producing is consumed by the people, what they produce within 12 hours is consumed by the people, and there's no market beyond that, they won't automatically go and operate 24 hours. I hope you are getting what I'm saying. So it's like we are telling the people this, and we are doing something else. We could have simply told the people the truth. You can give me an incentive for me to, get cheaper taxes, cheaper electricity and everything. But if I produce 20 boxes of mango fruit juice, and the market, the demand, consumes all the 20, and that when I do 24, they don't buy, I will not operate to produce the 24 boxes. But I would wait and still operate within the 12 hours. We are not against it. We are supporting it. I am only exposing some of the inconsistencies and the hypocrisy.
And it's within your right to do so. But let's get that out of the way so we can start to assess the way forward.
We get it. But if you look at this project, it almost looks similar to what you wanted to do one day.
Yes.
Now, how do you think they must go on with the implementation so that they do not have the challenges you had in implementing your 1D, 1F? Because your 1D, 1F, we thought the explanation was that we would have one factory in every district, but it didn't happen so.
Yes. I mean, by the time we're leaving office, I think 1D, 1F had given us over 120 factories across the country.
Functional.
Yes, functional. But there are challenges that, and I agree with Hamza. that as a country, we need to learn from some of these things and make sure that we don't fall in these pitfalls. What are the things? What are the issues? Remember, whatever challenges 1D1F have had, the NDC government, by virtue of being a new government, is not immune to it. There are fundamental local issues. For example, land dispute is one of the things.
Okay.
Those are things that you must be mindful of and avoid. There are districts who, till today, simply had their land cleared and couldn't put up the factories. And there are machineries on those lands because immediately they went on, land litigations erupted, and it's been back and forth up to now. There are other
machineries on those.
Oh yes,
lands.
yes, they're on the land because the people imported and all of that. There are also others who secured the land, but after they have secured the land, you know, you have to, before you're able to use that land for any legal basis, you must register. But land registration, as you are aware, is also another thing that must be looked at if you're able to, you really want to accelerate some of these things. So I agree. There are places that, for example, the road infrastructure must be improved to enable some of these industries that we want to push to succeed. Some factories that started under us had to spend so much of capital that they could put into their businesses into providing infrastructure into their sites. So these are all things that I believe that, and I've seen some of them rightly captured in the document. I've seen them rightly captured, provision of infrastructure, support for private sector, which can be in the form of utilities extension and all of that. I think that if you're able to avoid some of those pitfalls, I don't think it should be an issue of the former government did it this way and they didn't do it well, we'll do it this way. It is more of looking at it critically, identifying what the pitfalls are, because these pitfalls, you are not immune to them, and then making sure that you learn some valuable lessons in them and make this work. I want this to work. Okay. I am into private sector as well. I do processing myself as well, and so if it's thriving, it will benefit all of us. So we really want it to work. Okay. But I don't like the idea that government is trying to make us believe that this is the 24-hour economy thing that the problem. This is not. This is an accelerated export development program. This is an industrialization program, which is good. Eventually, if it works, one of the outcomes could be a 24-hour operation in certain areas. But this is not the 24-hour economy they promised in their campaign.
Let's bring in Hamza. Hamza, I'm at the agricultural section of this whole document you have, and it talks about Eden Volta bread basket project. It says the initiative is to transform the Volta basin into the bread basket of West Africa by cultivating over 2 million hectares of arable land under structured irrigation and climate-smart systems. How do you intend to do this? 2 million hectares.
Yes, but you see, even before I respond to that, it is important for me to briefly respond to many of the concerns raised by Miracles here. I do not want to take away the beauty of the policy proposal that we have brought to the good people of this country by jumping into the politics of it, especially so when we are mandated with the responsibility of executing it and reflecting the ideals of His Excellency President Mahama. Because he has cautioned that we should try as much as possible to go beyond the NPP and NDC rivals. But that notwithstanding, you see, it is not accurate to say that this is a government that is interested in slogans and that we have an arrogant posture. I'm pretty much convinced that our viewers listening to you would be shocked this morning. Because in the politics of this country, everyone knows the political party that manifests such attributes. When you even succeeded in borrowing, in your arrogant disposition, you organized a Kenke party at the Ministry of Finance. We have choked a lot of successes in this 6-month period. Have you seen us go to town celebrating, even with how far we have handled the city to dollar?
All right.
No, it's important. Please, Kojo, please, Kojo, don't do this.
Oh, no. You've reacted.
You see,
I've asked the question.
Again,
you have not answered the question.
Let us, and when it comes to speaking to Ghanaians with sensibilities about their feelings, we have demonstrated same. Because at every step of the way, we are charged by His Excellency President Mahama to manifest his demeanor. Many of you, because of the way you communicate, is now being branded as one of the reasons why you lost power. And my brother in particular has been flagged by even research organizations like Musa Dankwa's research organization. No, but I'll go there because I'm just
it's a lie that you told us.
You are not the moderator. You are not the moderator.
You will never deal with it.
You are not the moderator.
You would never deal with it.
You see, I was so uncomfortable. I was quiet.
We have about...
I'm dealing with the issue.
Didn't
you talk about arrogance?
You have responded to that.
Yeah, you've addressed it.
He also made the point about the public sector. Please, could you? I'll come to your question. I beg.
But if you use it to rebut, you will never make progress.
No, I am not rebutting. I am in government. And I speak on behalf of the party that is in government.
Sure.
He has made allegations. We must carry the Ghanaian people along. If they do not understand the basis and buy into the propaganda, it will be difficult for government to implement its policies. So as part of my responsibilities, apart from spreading the gospel according to the policy...
Let me help you make it simple.
Please, he made reference
Did you say before the elections that the 24-hour economy will be 1333? Did you say that?
Yes, and we are not run. Even what you read, you can read it again. Where in it has it been said that we are abandoning the 133 policy?
Why did this state the 133 policy?
No, you see, but he told you that it includes, unless of course your English is challenged.
Okay.
Is that not what you read?
Where? It says it goes beyond the shift system.
Yeah. So does it mean that the shift system is excluded?
No, it's part of it.
Absolutely. It's common sense. You said come on, don't do this when you were talking out straight.
Why is it in the document?
Are you going to allow him to do that? I can do that better.
I've told you not to.
You know we don't like that. The two of us, we don't. So keep quiet and let me make my point.
So let's go on. 2 million hectares of land.
I'll get there, please. I'll get there.
You can't deal with that.
You see, Kojo, we have also made the point that even before the policy was launched, in opposition, we were clear. So it is not correct to say that we said that this was going to be driven by the public sector. We had always maintained that we were going to provide the enabling environment and the necessary financing to support the private sector to drive the policy. Go and check President Mohammed's public utterance on the policy.
I'll read it to you here.
Go and check his public utterance on the policy. So it is not accurate to say that we said that it was going to be driven. Again, yes, the policy is demand-driven, and we never moved away from that reality. That is why we said that we are going to invest in those sectors to ensure that it opens up to recruit many of our youth who are unemployed. And you are talking about the nationalistic nature of the job, of the 24. We should have told them that, someone in Tasingpe would not benefit from the 24-hour economy because it's not going to be national. It is not true. It is national. You are not from Greater Accra. You work in Greater Accra. They have many of their kids, either in Tasingpe, in the Upper East region, or Tamale in the Northern region. Many of their children are in Accra looking for job opportunities. Many of them are in Kumasi looking for job opportunities. And if you indeed read the policy, we have also even indicated that we would ensure that at least every region out of the 16 regions, there will be a factory intended to run the 24-hour economic shift policy. So it's national in character. So you did not read it. And back to now the agriculture, please. Your question now. Your question. But your question is important for
your manifesto.
It's important for me to.
It says the 24-hour economy, a deliberate policy to encourage and support businesses. You're right there, and public organizations to operate 24-hour in free shift of 8 hours to boost production, promote productivity, and generate well-paying jobs. When it comes to public organizations, what do you need to make it?
But some of the public organizations have started, something like the Publishing Company Limited. The Minister of Foreign Affairs also announced a 24-hour economic policy implementation in terms of even the handling of passports. You know the Driver Vehicle Licensing Authority has done the same. So the public sectors that are strategically positioned to do so, they are doing so already.
So you're saying that now, if we go to the Ghana Publishing, Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the DVLA 24/7, will meet
you should be able to meet your demands, yes, because they have made some aspects of their operations 24-hour. So let us respect that. But you see, now back to your issue. You see, that is why I'm saying that if the document is elaborate, we have identified not only the Volta basin, but we have also identified important sectors like Yeji, Mpang, I hope I get the name right. Is it Mpankong or something like that? Then towards the Bupe zones. And the idea is to invest in those areas to ensure that we at least take away the transportation bottlenecks And that is why we have said that government alone is making available about in excess of $300 million to support that sector. And remember, President Mahama in his first stage
is for the agric.
Not entirely for the agric. Not entirely for the agric. Okay. DACF is also unleashing about $148 million or so to support the initiative. But it is important for you to go back to the first State of the Nation address when His Excellency President Mahama presented a holistic approach as far as agricultural mechanization and improvement in our agricultural prospects are concerned. So it is holistic. And so government in its own, the government policy for agriculture sector will also dovetail into the promise that we are going to invest heavily in the Volta basin. So if you are looking at the amount, it's not going to be produced in 1 year. Okay. Remember, the entire budget for the implementation of the policy is about $4 billion for the next 4 years. So the onus is on us as a government to be able to raise the necessary funding to drive it.
My question then is, 2 million hectares of arable land is huge.
It's huge.
Land preparations will come in and all of that. You're saying that in the next 4 years, this can be done.
Absolutely. That is the target.
Arable lands.
That is the target.
So what's the strategy?
But I've just explained to you the strategy. I've told you that already the government has. Look, if you listen to him, His Excellency President Mahama, the entire anchor of his administration was on agriculture. Yeah. For us to invest in our agriculture sector. So government policy in that regard is there. And that is why we're even introducing the agriculture mechanization centers, which the minister responsible for agriculture development is also driving as we speak today. So that all would feed into this policy initiative to ensure that they work in tandem with the authority to be able to deliver these ones.
Let's talk about funding sustainability. You mentioned this $4 billion over the next 4 years. Of course, government is only absorbing about 10% of this figure.
Yes.
So where is the rest coming from? How do we ensure sustainability? And Miracle, I'll come to you in terms of your views on the fiscal prudence of this huge investment we're talking about. So expatiate for us. Exactly how do you intend to make $4 billion work?
I think government has stated in the document, the 24-hour economic document, that apart from the 10% we will give, we are looking at ways of bringing in the private sector, especially our financial institutions.
A skeletal framework yet?
Yes, if you read the document is elaborate on that. Because one of the bottlenecks that we have has to do with the huge collaterals that banks require. So we are looking at a system where we can move away from mostly about 60% requirement in collateral to where we can bring the figure down to about 16 or 17%. And government would be an important player in terms of providing the necessary guarantees to the industries that government will identify. Remember, this year alone, we are looking at about 17 to 20 SMEs to sponsor or to support in that particular regard. So it is the job of the authority, or it will be the job of the authority, if it is eventually passed, to engage with our financial systems. And that will range from commercial banks to savings and loan schemes, to see how we can work with them to be able to provide the needed financing, which dovetails into the $4 billion that we have budgeted for the next 4 years. So we are going to raise it using local banks, savings and loan schemes, and where we can tap on grants. Because remember, if you look at organizations like the United Nations and the World Bank, there are grants available depending on how you're able to tailor your agriculture sector, where you can source and support that drive. So it is a holistic objective.
Okay, Hamza, the 10% of $4 billion is $400 million, isn't it?
Yes.
What will that go into?
It will go into first, like that, where we said that we are going to put it in 3 pillars. We have the agricultural production pillar. So a chunk of the money will go into that sector. We also have the second pillar, which is logistics. And when we talk about logistics, we are looking at how, like I indicated in the Volta Lake, how we can strategically invest in places like Yeji, Bupe, to be able to serve as inland ports. So when you have goods coming from those zones, they can serve as inland ports to get it to required destinations as far as the capital is concerned. So investments will go in that regard. That is the logistic aspect of it. There are roads that will be constructed to be able to link productive centers to many of these inland ports. Then we also have the digitization drive, where government will have to invest in digital economy to ensure that we ensure connectivity between the various sectors. That is the logistic aspect of it and agriculture production aspect of it. So it's holistic.
Hamza, yes, I get the holistic bit, but you see $400 million, you're talking about the Bupe inland port, right?
And Yeji.
Yes, but that alone would consume majority of that money you're talking about.
But you see, unless maybe you are not listening to me.
No, I'm listening to you. Then you come into the agriculture bit you've explained as well. The reason I'm asking about where those $400 million will go into is that you've already said that the remainder will come from private sector. So if government is going to spend the $400 million, specifically what will, because it can't all be using the EG and then the other things you've explained. So where exactly will they go? So that when we are also following,
but
the government says, I will apply this money in doing ABC.
I think you are jumping the gun, Kojo. Okay. First of all, you know that there's no way, no government will spend money without first of all seeking parliamentary approval.
Yeah.
So when that allocation is made eventually by the minister responsible for foreign affairs, for finance, and that of the one that we're expecting from the DAC, if District Assembly's Common Fund, when that is made, the authority, if it is passed into law, will now present a budget to Parliament based on which that budgetary allocations you want to see, the details you want to see, will be clear on the budget that they will present to Parliament. But we cannot sit here and say that out of 400 million, 20 million is going to go to infrastructure, 10 million is going to go to digitization. No. We cannot do that here. When when the funding is made available to them, the authority will sit as an authority in consultations with His Excellency President Mahama. They will determine how, in tandem with this overall objective, where to put which amount of money, what amount of money, and send it before Parliament for approval. So let us not jump the gun.
You mentioned that you want this to work. And now they're sort of giving us a skeleton. Oh, he said that. I'm just quoting what he said. He said he wants it to work.
As well, so.
And it looks like they have a fair idea of how they want to fund this. But your job as opposition is not only to critique, but also to help them find proper solutions for the problems of this country. First of all, what are your views on the fiscal prudence of this $4 billion investment? And what concerns might you have?
You know, the NDC, they like $1 billion. Remember the big push? Remember the big
10
push?
billion.
Yeah. They like $1 billion. I listen to them. And this is no different from all the industrialization policies this country has seen since 2000. Kufuor had a plan like that. Professor Mills had. Even John Mahama, His Excellency, in his first term had. And he has this as well. This document is simply a policy document aimed at revitalizing our industries and private sector and get them that enabling environment to operate. The outcome may be a 24-hour economy, but it is not something that is necessarily cast in stone. Because like I said, 24-hour economy is a demand and supply situation. You can be the most viable company in the world, but you may not necessarily need to operate on a 24-hour basis. It won't even make sense.
But have we said that all companies will do a 24-hour basis? Is that what we have said?
No, I mean, let's hear him out. You're not alluding to the fact that it's a one-size-fits-all, are you?
No, but I'm simply saying that these guys made categorical statements. They said it too. It's not like they said it. That's why when he had an opportunity to deal with all the things I said, there's even not one that he could dispute, other than try to attack my person, which means nothing.
I did. I disputed.
No, he didn't.
I did.
They said that the
one that I couldn't.
Organizer, do you see him there? The teaching of organizer will preach 24 hours.
That's
is there. You are trivializing now after you won power. I'm
telling you, this is pedestrian.
After you won power, you are trivializing.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised you are going this way.
Hamza, let's
want to see her pretty face.
Yes. We listen to you. Let's hear him out.
The president himself stood on the podium and spoke about boomerang, clubs operating 24 hours. Do you see it there? They said specifically that we are going to provide incentives for companies who operate 24 hours or who decide to operate 24 hours. And then specifically, they were quite specific. They said we'll provide them with some off-peak electric.
Yes.
Do you see it there? Relax, not a matter of her. I'm talking about what you said and what you are doing. You can't gaslight us. What do you mean by her? And then when we say, you have not read what do you mean by her?
So actually, if we've
point it out to where it is.
Is it? Do you see wisdom in the strategy?
Let me get
a word in. Do you see the wisdom in saying the things they said, now assuming office, doing their own assessment based on what's available, what they can do?
No, there's no wisdom in that.
And then coming back to say that, okay, based on our own... Remember, they formed a committee, brainy people put together to proffer solutions and figure out exactly how they can roll this out. So perhaps it's not more of a U-turn, rather re-strategy.
So you're saying that anybody at all can take the country? It's right.
I mean,
you can take the.
We have not left out anything.
I mean, miracles
now. You can take the country on a ride. Okay. Say whatever you want to tell them. When you come to power, before you come and do an assessment. So you threw policies in there without knowing what you're going to do. They haven't
thrown the policy away, have they?
I've given you specifics. Like, do you see it there?
And I asked you specifically on fiscal prudence.
Do you see? Yet we are here, do you see the specific things they promised the Ghanaian people in there?
My brother is confused.
Let me tell you, he's talking about Ghana. Ghana Publishing has been operating 24 hours under David Asante for long. I even said it on Asempa long before we left power. And I kept making the point. The reason why Ghana Publishing is operating 24 hours is because it is needed. Because when you go to Newtown here, calm down. When you go to Newtown here, when we have printing presses who are doing similar jobs like Ghana Publishing, they do 24 hours. Okay. Here at Newtown, they do 24 hours without any government intervention. You know why? Because their job and their business demands that. And that's what Ghana Publishing is doing. It is not NDC that introduced 24 hours to Ghana Publishing. No, it has been there under David Asante long ago. Whenever the institution, the organization, be it public sector or private sector, needs to do that, you don't need any extraordinary intervention from government to be able to do that. But when you come back and make specific promises to the businessman in Tema that currently you're operating and closing at 6 p.m. When we come to power and you decide to operate till the next day 6 a.m., we'll give you off-peak power incentive. He wants to see it there. Is it there?
Given the timelines that they have given, 18 months, are you confident that they can rake in as much money, revenue that they say they do?
I really pray they do.
But you're not confident right now?
No, I really pray they do. Okay. Because if they do, we are all going to benefit. I really pray they do. I really pray that whatever they have in this document, we don't get back here in 18 months discussing and they giving excuses and other reasons to shift from what they have in the document like they've done with their own campaign. Honestly speaking, I really pray they do. But what I want to tell Hamza is that he's in government. Should calm down. Whether he likes it or not, they are receiving our taxpayers' money to do things that will benefit the country. I accept. They cannot tell us to shut up.
Nobody's telling you.
Please. They have no business to do that. In fact, they have no moral right to do that. Yes. They have to shut up and get the work done because they have asked for it. We didn't. As I sit here right now, I have no such fiduciary relationship with any Ghanaian. He does. That's because he has come to us with a specific manifesto and promised us heaven. You can't promise us heaven and not come and deliver hell to
They won't be the first party in power to do that. So let's move on from the blame game. No.
That is gaslighting. What you are saying is gaslighting.
I'm saying that here on this table, I'm more concerned about incisive, solution-driven conversations.
No.
Rather than he did this, we did that. You know what I mean?
What's the solution?
That's what I'm asking you.
What's the solution? But that's why I'm giving you responses and you're telling me I should give you the way you want.
No.
I am telling you that.
These guys, calm down, my brother.
Why? Promised specific things.
Calm down.
Today he's seated here and he's running away from it.
But I'm saying you made this point over and over.
What am I running away from?
Because he hasn't responded to it.
What am I running?
Because when you look at the document is at complete variance with what they said. Do you recall the president's media engagement? Do you recall the president's media engagement? And his elaborate explanation to the 24-hour economy. Do you recall what the NDC chairman said? You think it's nothing.
But who has run away from
this document that you are seeing? This document that you are seeing. Go to the Ministry of Trade website.
Who is running away from
this? This same document, apart from inserting 24-hour economy in certain paragraphs, has been on the Ministry of Trade website for years. Because, like I keep saying, this is simply part of the policies that Ghana Export Promotion Authority is doing. It is simply part of the economy.
Why have you been speaking for God knows how long?
I sat here and listened to you for 5 minutes. Why are you so agitated?
And I'm listening to you for 8 minutes now. 8 minutes now. Calm down, my brother.
Don't do what you are doing.
Calm down. Calm down.
Why are you
so agitated?
Sit back and
is it the policy that is agitating you?
Our audience don't tune in to listen to us.
Because what he's doing is wrong. You are just why? If you go to, you are in government. Let me speak.
Why are you so agitated this morning?
No, you are misbehaving.
The policy is annoying.
Yes, it's annoying because you promised us.
Because you know that we are going to
something else. And you think I don't have to be
I think Kojo wants to take the conversation to another level.
You scam the entire country and we are speaking.
If you look at page 30 of the document, it says,
don't cry on this show, I beg you.
Enabling regulations, including labor laws, local government bylaws, and business licensing to support expanded hours of operation and innovation in economic activity. Doesn't that answer your question?
Which document are you reading from?
The 24-hour economic policy.
So you see, as we sit here right now, if you read this and you juxtapose it against what it is that day, the NDC said during the campaign period, you see a complete variance.
But I'm saying that doesn't it fall in tandem
with
what they said?
No, it doesn't.
That this one is to encourage businesses.
No, that's not what you said. See, this is the NDC's FAQs during their campaign. It's here. I am saying that it is okay. You brought a policy document, which we agree.
Please read it.
Which we agree to. Not a problem. Because like I've told you, this is no different. This is no different from the... You don't...
Read what you have said is on your phone. Read it.
Why are you...
Our questions and... read it. Read it.
Why are you doing this?
Read it.
Hamza, to be fair, he has the floor. When we come back to you, then you can also,
that's
to your
how long are you going to speak? If you wanted to do a one-on-one with him, we should have just told you.
I'm sorry, we'll come to you. Make your point.
Yeah. Are you done?
We shall consciously promote discipline and efficiency in already existing 8-hour work schedule in public institutions and a new additional work shift by introducing appropriate measures to root out practices that militate against efficiency and productivity in the public sector. Public organizations who are currently running 8-hour shifts will be running 3 shifts. 1 job, 3 people. Do you see that here? Do you see that here? Let me tell you, do you know the number of young people in this country who simply thought that if we have 800,000 people in public sector and you are promising them 133, then obviously immediately you come to office, we are going to have 2.4 million. So you are going to bring an additional 1.6 million. For which reason they went to queue to vote for you? For whatever reason, you have come, like you're saying, you've had to assess, work, and readjust what you said. What you need to do is to, first of all, acknowledge and admit that what you told us emphatically is a bit different from what you are trying to do. But you don't come and sit on TV and make all of us feel like we are foolish, excuse my language, and that we don't know what we are talking about. You promised us specific things. You told the people specific things you would do. This document, as you are seeing, if you like, go and pick all the industrialization policy documents this country has seen from the year 2000 till now. It's the same thing. I'm telling you, the only difference here is the insertion of 24-hour economy.
Okay.
That is all. But that's not what you promised us.
So
and you know what this is there.
You see,
Miracle seems to be hammering on the point that the things you said in the lead up to election 2024 on what the 24-hour economy is, how you want to implement it, and how it meets the Ghanaian at the point of their needs seems to be a little different from what you've produced now in this policy document that we are reading.
It is not. That is why.
So can you respond to the discrepancies between what you said and what we're seeing, so we can move on to? Because I want to probe this make 24 issue and then we can move forward.
But you see, sweetie, it is important for me to state that even in my initial submission, I made the point that we would be interested in the NPP's critique of the 24-hour policy. That tells you that this is a government that is ready to listen. This is a government that respects dissent, even from its political opponents. And so, for you to sit in this chair and create the impression that we don't want you to talk, when nobody has said that, clearly tells me that you are only imagining things in your head like you've always done. And that is problematic. Secondly, my brother, we are not in any way running away from whatever we say. In opposition, we were consistent that as part of the 24-hour policy, we will ensure that we provide the needed environment to empower the private sector to run the 24-hour shift. And government organizations would also be positioned to run it. But government will not drive, what's the name? The public sector will not drive the policy. We're clear. And yes, we said 133, and we are sticking to that 133. There's nowhere in the policy document where we have said that we are revising the 133 promise that were made. And so today, I know a number of organizations like NPA. I am told they are also at the discussion stage to see how they can roll it out.
Guys are just fraud.
People have been employed. I may not be able to put out the figures here, But I know that in preparation towards that policy, people have been employed because there are so many things that can be done. New regional offices are coming up in the case of NPA that they are strategically positioning to ensure that they roll out these policies. So it is true. Some people will work from morning to afternoon. Others will take over midnight, and others will take over from midnight to 6. And there will be different employment, and government is still committed to that. So it is not that we are revising our policies in that regard. So miracles, you see, nobody's...
No, I want to moderate this.
I hope that you are not going back to him. How many minutes have I spoken?
I'll come back to you, Hamza.
Sweetie, if you wanted a one-on-one...
I'm trying to moderate this so we can move forward.
No, but that's not fair. You could have done that with me. You did it.
Evidence is not evidence of absence. So they are still sticking to their one job, three-shift system. So, Hamza, I'm just trying to clear that out of the way so we can move forward.
He doesn't own the channel.
He doesn't. You can land on your point.
No, because she knows.
Because I want us to move to renewable, reliable energy and how you're actually going to lay this significant foundation before we can go.
So, but it is important for us to understand that, unlike them, my brother, we respect your views.
What you're saying so that miracles can move.
Why are you interested in summarizing mine and not his?
I did.
But let me make my point. You see, my brother, I can assure you, calm down and understand that this is a government that is ready to engage. And I can advise you, even as a political party, we'll be more than interested, even in receiving your inputs as to how you think that we should proceed on this journey, irrespective of the fact that we know how challenged you are when it comes to many of these things. Because sometimes it is important to reason or to imagine the brains behind failure in order to avoid yourself from going into such pitfalls. So we are more than ready to engage. Don't think that we are a government that will shut the doors on you or criminalize dissent. Absolutely not. Because we intend this policy to go beyond the normal partisan lines. And that is the reason why I'm resisting the temptation to go hard on the political front by making comparisons in terms of policies you rolled out.
Which is why I want to stick to education. Which is why I want to stick to questions that give you the platform.
You need to engage us as far as this policy is concerned. This is about the future of the country. This is about how we can effectively connect our productive sectors to be able to reap the needed benefits. We've always complained since independence.
So Hamza says,
the fundamentals of our economy must change.
There's been some employment, right?
Yes, there's been some employment. Of course, TGLA has made some employments, yes. In terms of their commitment to rolling out that policy.
Okay.
I know as a matter of fact, in the case of DVL. And then PR say, well, I'm told that they are also at the discussion stage, and they are making the necessary preparation towards that, and also boxed.
So why sack people when you knew you were going to employ?
Sack which people?
I mean, the people were employed before, were employed in December that they were let go.
But if there's nothing that bars government, because we're looking at the economic fundamentals at the time. We explained. And we raised issues about the manner in which many of them were employed. Election year, we call it midnight employments in the United States of America. There's a need for us to sanitize the process. Because we're looking at the wage bill. And we are not just employing. We look at the wage bill and our debt to GDP ratio before clearance is given for people to employ. So this is a government that is very concerned and meticulous when it comes to managing our revenues. And so we will not behave like that.
And they are not party people?
What do you mean by party people?
Oh, no, I'm just asking. Because
no, I don't understand. You have to break it. Party people in which way?
You said that some people have been given clearance to employ. One of the defense in the December...
We are employing Ghanaians.
Okay. All right.
Irrespective of their partisan affiliation.
Do you remember the $1 million per constituency?
Yes. And that is why I said that...
At the end of the day, it affected the DACF. I read here, you tell us that you're working with the DACF to see how much they can also contribute. Will that affect how much then assemblies will get in the long run?
Absolutely not. Absolutely. Our assemblies are even getting better under His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama. Remember that we have indicated that the minimum allocation for assemblies this year is going to be 25 million Ghana cedis per each district assembly.
Okay.
They never saw that in the entire 8 years of the NPP's administration.
So when they start, that 25 million will never reduce.
That $25 million is there. We are dealing with the district assemblies common fund.
Yes.
As an entity, to make available from its own funding 148 million. It does not mean that it's going to affect the formula in terms of allocation to the District Assemblies Common Fund. We are committed. We are the brain behind the District Assemblies Common Fund system. And so we will not do anything to jeopardize that future. Unlike them, we will be very careful in terms of how we handle our District Assembly concepts. So knowing President Mahama, he's not going to joke with that commitment.
All right.
In terms of There's something here. Let me just read it and ask my question. It says, Make 24 goes beyond simply building factories. It focuses on creating inclusive and productive industrial ecosystems that strengthen backward and forward linkages. And it goes on and on to link it to the African Continental Free Trade Area. Yes. And, just like the famous saying, we cannot, the independence of Ghana is meaningless until it's tied to the total liberation of Africa. Our infrastructure, in terms of road network, in terms of the differences in tariff of the various countries in Africa, seem to be a real challenge, for which reason we are not seeing AfCFTA being as successful as it ought to be. How do you position this 24-hour economy plus policy within the context of AfCFTA so that we can make the most out of it, not just as Ghana, running a 24-hour economy, but also leading the charge to actually maximize the benefits we can chalk from AfCFTA? But
that is the more reason why we are emphasizing on the principle of Make 24 in terms of contributing our quota to that regard. If Ghana is successful in terms of this objective by empowering industries that we are supposed to empower and strategically linking it to even the African Free Continental Trade Area. So you intend to link what, like road infrastructure to road infrastructure, that's part of the logistics, you see, and you need to understand that's part of the logistics bit of it. In most cases, we have to look at even sea transport is part of it. You understand? There's like we spoke about the Volta link and the need for us to make huge investments as far as that corridor is concerned to ensure that we are able to move our produce from the hinterlands, I think especially to the regional capital, Accra, for onward transport. This positions us to be able to trade effectively even amongst us as African countries. And we will look at our products that will have competitive advantage in. And if we do so, and we're able to trade effectively with the likes of Nigeria, Togo, Cote d'Ivoire, and Benin, we are feeding into the overall objective of AfCFTA. And most importantly, Ghana would have positioned itself to begin to reap the benefits of AfCFTA even before many African countries. Unless, of course, they also decide to follow through policies like we are now proposing as a government. Okay, so that is how we all feed into the AfCFTA objective. So in terms of infrastructure, specifically, I'm asking because I think that's the biggest problem we face. Yes. What's it called? Yeah, the linkages in terms of roads. Continental. Are you budgeting for that as well? Because no, you have to... We don't want to make the policy over ambitious. Okay. Those that are within our control, there are things that we will do. Like I have indicated, the road network, we are looking at how to bring produce to Accra. It falls within the zones of Ghana. Those are your priorities right now. We'll make investments in those areas. Okay. We are looking at sea transport. How we need to get our produce from the hinterlands to Accra or Takoradi or Tema. Investments that would lead there in terms of logistic investments, government would ensure that it plays a critical role in driving those investments. But when it comes to interlinkages between country to country, it is also another angle that we cannot overburden the 24-hour economy because that one would need interstate collaboration to be able to effectively handle things like that. Okay. So priority Ghana, and then we can see how it goes from there. So let me just ask Hamza one last question. Hamza, I mean, we've all confirmed that you want to do 2 million hectares of arable land in the Volta basin. Now, I was just doing my calculations. Now, it would require some $4,940 to, cultivate 1 acre of land. Yeah, that means that it will require for the 2 million some $9.8 billion just for the Volta basin cultivation we want to do there. But we are saying that the entire budget we're looking for the this whole project is $4 billion, right? See, but the misunderstanding you are having is that this is government's budget. Hold on. Let's take it one by one. The entire budget for the project is $4 billion, right? For which project? The 24-hour economy is $4 billion, right? Yes. Okay, good. Now, out of $4 billion, you say government will take 10%. Yes. Isn't it? And source the rest. Yes. And I'm saying that just your 2 million hectares in Volta basin alone, you recover $9 billion. And that's why I'm telling you that you are confusing the issues. Okay, help me. Deconfuse me. You see, first of all, don't forget the angle about providing the enabling environment for the private sector to be key players as far as these sectors are concerned. It is not government alone that is going to cultivate that 2 million hectares we are talking about. Our job is to provide the needed environment for even the private sector to be critical in that. So what it means is that the private sector on their own will come in with their money. We are not going to farm those lands.
I'm not contesting that. But so, when you hear that the entire budget for the entire project is 4 billion,
yes,
and just the
how much money would government need to resolve issues of land ownership disputes as far as that basin is concerned?
Well, I know that you consider all of that. I'm asking
Kojo, let me
that when you see the contradiction between
there's no
just
contradiction.
One, okay,
there's
just
no
one bit of the entire project.
You see,
alone
that's why
you see,
I am trying.
We should be asking questions.
No, I'm trying to prevent you from confusing the issues.
Okay,
you have done your own computations as to how much it will cost to farm the 2 million hectares of land.
Okay,
I am telling you that it is not government that is going to carry out the farming activity.
Oh, you've said that.
So government is going to provide the needed environment.
Yes.
To create the lands, resolve land disputes, and make these lands available. Now, if you as a private individual decides, because of the incentives that you have now seen, government has taken away the bottleneck of ownership, you are interested and you apply to the secretariat, you want to farm there, you go and farm.
Of which I will apply.
Government, you would have money. Absolutely.
I will apply, but I'm saying that.
So don't put that cost on the 24-hour economy.
I'm saying that you've budgeted 4 billion for the entire 24-hour economy, not
yes.
Out of that 4 billion, government would cough up 10% of that money, $400 million.
Yes.
Is there.
Yes.
And I'm saying that one aspect of the policy itself, the 2 million hectares of land in the Volta basin, it will require over 9 billion. How did we arrive at the 4 billion for the entire project?
You are still making...
No. I'm not.
Can I respond to you?
We haven't we all agreed that the entire policy...
We have, but you see, I still need to cure the confusion in you.
Okay,
you see,
cure it.
It is important for you to understand that, yes, indeed, the cost is $4 billion for 4 years that government is looking at to drive the policy. And we've told you from day one that government is going to create only the enabling environment to drive the system. We expect a huge chunk of the investments to come from the private sector. So because I have said, as a government, that I require 100,000 Ghana cedis to get access to 2 acres of land, so that private people who are interested in farming can have access to it, it does not mean that I, as a government, will have to look for an additional 300,000 to now go and farm those lands, so that you are adding it to my cost. It's not my cost.
Let's leave it.
So it's not up to government to take up that whole cost for farming the whole 2 million.
That is the point I'm making to you.
They have to provide infrastructure, like you said.
We provide the necessary infrastructure. If you have your money, you can put it in there.
That's fine.
Miracles. We have to.
So at the end of the day, the investments we are expecting from the 24-hour project.
That is
well, you want to tell me that everything will be $4 billion.
So if we've been listening to you for a while now, it's time for us to get Miracles out.
Benefits we seek to bring from
that is fine. We'll continue.
Point made. Thank you. Miracles, we should be wrapping up on this conversation, but there are things we want to run by you. Feel free to reflect at this point on everything that we've said. But I'm interested in this...
you want to see her face.
I'm interested in this rerun of the Ablekuma North constituency election of 19 polling stations, and it's set for, 8 days from now. That's what the EC is saying. So first, feel free to reflect on everything, and...
It's done 15 minutes. You see, I put a stopwatch.
Interesting.
I just want to put it on record that he is overly...
To be fair, we were also interjecting.
Yeah, exactly. I'm saying that I wish I had that type of interjection for 15 minutes. Because then we had...
The first time you did.
Okay.
15 minutes. The first time you did. Basically, if we've done one...
The first time you did.
Hamza has done 45 minutes. But it's okay.
Can you imagine?
Well, you see, he's in government. So,
It's okay. It's fine. It doesn't change the fact that he's still struggling to put even this policy into proper perspective. We are saddled with the scam of a government that doesn't even realize how much damage they've caused to even the emotions of the people by misleading them. And so, for me, for now, it remains a policy document. We would work with them as much as they want us to make sure that whatever the vision is in there comes to fruition. That is without doubt. Because ultimately, if it works out, it is Ghana that wins. But my only advice is that it is going to be very difficult for them to get the cooperation of the Ghanaian people if they adopt this posture. They are too defensive. It's too aggressive. You don't run government like that. It's acting as if they are still
in experience, right?
It's acting as if they are still in opposition. You are in government. You have a responsibility to calm down and speak to us and clarify things to us. You don't fight us when we are asking you questions. You don't fight us when we are seeking clarity. You have no such right.
Who is fighting?
If you want to have such...
We have told you to speak as much as you want to speak. So stop involving me in the conversation. If he doesn't stop involving me, I'll respond.
15 minutes, you are involving me, I didn't even speak.
I understand you have a presser at 10 a.m.
And I'll come to that, don't worry.
But they're counting us down.
We told you to speak out so that we'll see what you have.
So they should continue. Me, I don't mind, because I always knew that they will amount to nothing. This is a government that in 6 months has brought 16% electricity tariff increase to the people of this country. This is a government that within 6 months has plunged this country into an energy crisis, and for which reason they are asking us to come and pay 4 cedi 50 pesos per gallon for every fuel that we buy. This is a government that lied to us. We voted for them, and today the TUC tells the president to his face that Galamsey has escalated, and they are in the Galamsey pit creating content for social media. This is a government that reports 10 cedi as dollar rates on Bank of Ghana website, and then the gold board is trading at 12 cedis. This is a government that says that I've brought dollar down, I've brought fuel down, and yet when you go to our market and our business places, everything is still expensive. They should continue. Unfortunately, we have a democracy that once you vote for them, there's nothing you can do. But at least Ghanaians are learning from that lesson.
We have 1 minute.
They are learning from that lesson. Okay. And eventually, when time catches up with them, and Ghanaians are taking action on them, we'll all be here to have the conversation.
Posterity
on the Electoral Commission. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. On the Electoral Commission, I really am surprised what the Electoral Commission is even talking about. It is only the courts that can declare an election to be rerun, not EC. EC has no such powers. Yours is to collate your results. Once you finish your collation and there are disputes, we go to the court. The courts are the ones who determine whether an election can be rerun or not. But I'll leave that to the General Secretary. We'll be addressing the press, this afternoon. The NDC has been threatening the Electoral Commission. The National Chairman was here last week and said that the EC chair needs to go. And so it looks like the Electoral Commission is beginning to fold. And because they want to protect their jobs, they are afraid, because they've seen what the NDC is doing to the Chief Justice. And once they see what the NDC is doing to the Chief Justice, they are worried that it will come to them. That is not our business.
I thought you had more confidence in the EC than that, to crumble under the pressure of the NDC.
Have you ever seen?
You as a party.
I'm telling you about which party. We are not PROs for the EC.
Okay.
The EC must do its job. The EC has no business. We are not going to engage in any rim run in Ablekuma North without an explicit order from the court. Okay. As far as we know, the EC was in Parliament barely a week ago. Dr. Bosman telling Parliament that there are only 3 polling stations that are left to be collated, and then they can declare the results. That's what we know. Yeah. Nobody can just wake up one day and come and tell us that we are going for everyone in 90. Right. You have lost the elections. Just accept that you have lost the elections.
Thank you.
You see, this will be a bad precedent. And let me conclude on this. If the EC and the NDC should succeed at this, you know what it means? It means that anytime there is an election in this country, mobilize your people, go to the polling station, ransack the collation center, and then come and call for a rerun. That is basically what is happening. And that is dangerous for our electoral processes and dangerous for our democracy. And this is wicked on the part of the NDC for them to even advocate.
Thank you so much, Miracles, Dennis Aboagye. You have the final word in 30 seconds. I'm sorry, we
have
to go.
On
this EC matter. Why?
On
the EC matter. On the EC matter, to be fair.
15 minutes on
30 seconds.
So I think it is important to state that when it comes to the economy we inherited.
EC, please.
I'll go to EC.
No, we don't have time.
Yes, I'll do so in your 1 minute.
I told you.
I'll do so in your 1 minute.
Why does he have 1 minute?
When it comes to
and then you spoke first.
When it comes to the economy and all the claims that he
next time you know you don't want me to speak, don't invite me.
No. Quickly on the EC. You see, first of all, I'm glad that you have joined us. Please, I'm glad that you have joined us. I have always been consistent, and the National Democratic Congress has been consistent that this EC must go.
Why should the EC go? Because you say so.
So even this, you have a problem
because you say so.
With the conduct, you have a problem with the national.
So those who join us for the conversation today, we have Hamza Suhuyini and Dennis Miracles Aboagye. I'm sure your microphones are muted. Dennis Miracles Aboagye is aide to former Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and Hamza Suhuyini is a member of the NDC communications team. They join us to discuss many matters.
Look, there's a sad news that we need to. For football lovers, we are hearing just a while ago that Diogo Jota, for those of you who are Liverpoolians, he's passed in an accident in Spain a while ago. That's the news that we're gathering. So for football lovers, and especially Liverpool fans and Portugal fans, Diogo Jota died at the age of 28. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more. Please to stay with us.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.